Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's project is this really pretty uh, diamond pattern. This is originally a needle knit uh, chart and pattern, but it's very easily adapted to the loom. I will have this pattern uploaded to my Google Drive, and the link will be in the description box below, so you can go grab that. Let's go ahead and get started. There are only three symbols on this chart. There is uh, the circle, which is your yarn over. There is this symbol, which is a knit two together. And then there is this symbol, which is a knit three together. They very conveniently outlined the repeat for you, which is this section right here, and they numbered the columns, which these correspond to your pegs. So when you number your loom, and I would highly recommend that you number your loom with tape or something, that you number your loom in this direction, going from right to left in groups of 8, and this pattern is done in multiples of 8, plus your end pegs. It's very easy to read. So row 1 is knits. An empty square like this means it's a knit. So this is just a plain knit. And the circle with this tells you which direction to move your stitch. So if your yarn over is here and your knit two together is here, that means you're going to move this stitch over to here. If your yarn over's here and your knit two together's here, that means you're going to move your stitch from here to here. So this row reads knit 1, knit peg 1, knit peg 2. You're going to move the stitch from 4 to 3. Then that means you're going to have 2 stitches on peg 3 for your knit 2 together. That means that this peg will be empty, so you wrap this peg like an E-wrap. You would wrap this peg. Peg 5 is a knit. Okay, then peg 6, you're going to move peg 6 over to peg 7. This is your symbol for knit 2 together, and this is your symbol for yarn over. So you're going to move your stitch from peg 6 to peg 7. You're going to wrap peg 6, because that's now an empty peg. You're going to wrap peg 6. You're going to knit peg 7, and then peg 8 is a knit. And this is an 8-stitch pattern, so that means you're going to come back to peg 1. This is written in odd numbers, which means if you see a pattern written in odd numbers like this, then it usually means that the even rows are knits. Your even rows are going to be knits, and on this pattern that is the case. The even rows are going to be knitted. So you're going to work from right to left, and then your knitted rows are going to be left to right. And this is worked in a flat panel. I'm sorry, I should have stated that. It's just worked in a flat panel. So then once you've knitted back, your row 3 is going to be a knit the first peg, knit peg 1, then you're going to move peg 3 to peg 2, knit peg 2, wrap peg 3, knit 4, 5, 6, then you're going to move peg 7 to peg 8, wrap peg 7, knit peg 8. Then you're going to come back to peg 1 and you're going to keep repeating this row until you get to the end of your however many multiples that you did on your loom till you reach your end pegs. Okay. And then you just keep progressing up the rows until you get to the top, and then you come back down to the bottom and you start over. So this row here, row 5, and I have it written down here, is peg 1, knit 3 as 1. So here's your knit 3 together. So what this means is if you look over here, peg 8 gets moved to which would be peg 1. So this is your peg 1 and peg 2 if you were to start over counting again. So you're going to move peg 8 to peg 1 and peg 2 to peg 1 and then knit peg 1 as a 3 over. Okay, and then the same thing is up here. You're going to move peg 4 to peg 5, peg 6 to peg 5, and peg 5 is a 3 over. Okay. All right, and let me get my camera set up and then and my loom, and I will show you how this looks on the loom. Okay, so here's my loom. I am using a 3/8 loom, 3/8 gauge loom with a thin weight number 4 on it. And this is what the pattern looks like when it's been worked up. It's a real pretty diamond pattern. This is how I have my loom marked. You can see my end pegs. I used 3 end pegs on each end. And then I have my numbers 1 through 8, and then 1 through 8, and 1 through 8. Okay. Let me get untangled here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is work. I've skipped my first peg, and I'm going to work my first 2 end pegs there. Okay, now on the pattern it says to knit pegs 1 and 2. So here's my peg 1 and peg 2, and then it tells me to move peg 4 to peg 3. So I come over here and I get peg 4 and untwist the E-wrap. So now I have 2 loops on peg 3. So I'm going to knit those off, wrap peg 4. The next one is to knit peg 5. So I knit peg 5. The next one is to move peg 6 to peg 7. So here's my peg 6. I'm going to untwist my E-wrap and move peg 6 to peg 7. I have an empty peg, so I'm going to wrap it. Then I'm going to wrap and knit off my peg with 2 loops on it. And then my last one of this section is to knit peg 8. So I knit peg 8, and then I come back and I start over with peg 1. Knit peg 1 and 2. So I knit peg 1, and I knit peg 2, and then it tells me to move 4 over to 3. So I untwist my E-wrap. I now have 2 loops on peg 3, so I knit those over. I have an empty peg on 4, so I wrap that. It tells me to knit peg 5, so I knit peg 5. Then it tells me to move 6 over to 7, so I move 6 over to 7. I have an empty peg now on 6, so I wrap 6. I wrap and knit peg 7, and then my last instruction here is to knit peg 8, so I knit peg 8. Then I come back to peg 1 and do it again, and I keep doing that until I get to the end of my loom, and then my next row in between here is to knit back. And then I would start with row 3 here, and I would do this, keep doing this until I get to the end. Then I would knit back, and then I come back to my pattern and do this, and then I would knit back. And that is how you work, how you read a pattern, and how you work it on the loom. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to have more of these videos in the future. Have a great day. Bye.